Wake up, you ain't heard the news. Thank you for joining me for this special edition of the Fast Break Sports Hour. Obviously, it's the Broncos edition with Bronco Chuy. He's also on Facebook Live. Don't worry about Facebook Live right now. We're right here live on YouTube. Um, or if you can see that, go ahead and reply to your Facebook Live messages. But it's going to be a Bronco Hour special. We're going to talk about his experiences with the Denver Broncos past, and obviously we're going to get to the present and what we see in the future, what he sees in the future. This is the Wizard Chewy. He's going to look into his crystal ball and tell us exactly what he feels about the Denver Broncos here in 2018. Again, thank you for joining me live here on YouTube. If you haven't already, subscribe, comment, like, especially comment. I want to know exactly what you guys think about the channel and what you guys would like me to talk about more so. I'm always going to talk about sports, but today is specifically Denver Broncos Day here again. Wizard Chewy, are you ready to get this thing started? Are you ready to get back into the future, jump into your little spaceship and remember all the things the Broncos past?
I'm gonna try. I'm ready to do it. Hopefully, I can remember back then.
Chris Berman's here, back. Yeah, he can remember all that primetime ESPN. That's where actually I started watching a lot of the highlights back when I was like, man, 8 or 9 years old. We would watch the games during the Sunday afternoon. Then I really liked watching NFL primetime on ESPN because I love the commentary with Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, and then it was who was the third person on there? Oh man, well, sorry if you're the third person. I know it was a female. I don't remember her name, but it was fun watching it. So we're gonna get right into it. So you obviously being a Denver Bronco fan, you're the reason why I'm a Denver Bronco fan. You get in here a little bit more. Don't be afraid of me. I don't bite. But you are the main reason why I'm a Bronco fan. Obviously, growing up, you just instilled that in me, and it's been there since the beginning. What's I've actually, I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but what I want to know is what do you remember as your first Broncos experience and or just the NFL? What brought you in and said, you know what, this is something that I love and this is what I want to continue to do? What's your first memory of the Denver Broncos?
Well, back in 1970s, which is a long time ago, we were living in Colorado. In Colorado, over there, just Bronco. I mean, those teams were like 4 wins, 3 wins out of a year, 14 games, and it was just all Broncos. And going to school and just seeing everything Broncos. I liked the Broncos. I started liking football, and that's where it started. Just Colorado itself,
What
it's all Broncos.
awesome. What part of Colorado did you grow up? For those people that don't know.
We were moving around a lot. It was like Johnstown, Milliken, Longmont. Longmont, I stayed a long time there. I went to school there a lot. And then it was just Longmont. Then we moved to Phoenix. And when we moved to Phoenix, it was like Bronco. That was it. We used to mess around, up in Longmont playing with friends and stuff, playing football out there in the snow. And it was all Broncos.
All right. And there was no Cardinals here yet when you guys moved to Phoenix, correct?
No, there was no Cardinals. Cardinals,
All right.
there was a Cardinals, but it was in St. Louis.
Yeah, so there wasn't an NFL team here yet, so that makes sense that you guys brought that Broncos tradition over here as a family. And obviously, your family members, brothers, also were Bronco fans, I believe.
Yeah, Carlos, Enrique, Javier, we were all watching football. Even at the end, before my dad died, he started watching football. It
Nice.
was weird because, he didn't know no English or nothing, but he would sit around, and start watching the games. It was nice. Everybody started watching the Broncos, and we went from there.
As you started watching the Denver Broncos, was there a player that just, man, piqued your interest where you're like, I love that player. I'm very interested in learning more about that player. Did you have a favorite player when you first started watching the Broncos?
Oh, yeah, number 44, Floyd Little.
Floyd Little.
Floyd Little.
Finally got into the Hall of Fame after so many years. I bet you were excited to see that. What do you remember mostly about Floyd Little in his days with the Orange Crush?
The way he would run, he looked like he just got off his horse. He was bull-legged, man. He would just
Oh,
run from one side to the other, but he was good. I mean, back then the Broncos were not good. I mean, they were winning 2 or 3 games for. He was the whole offense. He was doing everything. And back then, 9,000 yards was a lot. I think he did it 2 years, and the rest of the years were just like 700, 800. But he was a main guy there.
So he was getting like 900, 1,000. That was a lot.
Yeah, it was.
I
It
mean, it was
was.
14 game seasons, obviously.
Yeah, so 1,000 was pretty good.
Right.
And he was there in late '60s and early '70s till when Otis Armstrong came in the '70s and took over. But it was Floyd Little, and I have like in the from '60s '70s Floyd Little. That was one of my best players there, and then it started going from there. You go with in the '70s with Randy Gradishaw. I think I'm saying that right. Middle linebacker.
Randy Gradishar,
Yeah, from the
yes,
defense from 1977 when they went to the Super Bowl.
who still deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but still hasn't gotten in.
And you can see the numbers. I was checking it out and everything. He has a lot better numbers than Mike from the Chicago Bears,
Singletary,
and then Brian.
Brian Urlacher.
Yeah, Ray Lewis. Well, Ray Lewis is a
One of
maniac.
the greatest.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's best linebacker. But Randy
yeah.
Gradishar should have been in there. But I think a lot of credit didn't go his way because there was another middle linebacker back then, and he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers when the Steelers were good. His
And
name was Jack Lambert. Just by looking at that guy, he was a scary guy.
missing
And
teeth like a hockey
yeah,
player.
yeah, and he was mean. I mean, those two guys, oh man. And I don't think I've seen a middle linebacker for the Broncos since Randy. And if it was 31, Randy was going to be right there stopping the run.
So you believe that because Jack Lambert, obviously he's well renowned across the United States, not just in Pittsburgh Steelers country, but you believe that because how great of a player Jack Lambert was, it kind of took away from what Randy Gradishar was doing because especially back then you didn't have all of the obviously social media and just all the
Nothing.
coverage. So and the Pittsburgh Steelers were very popular.
Oh yeah.
So you kind of put that into consideration as to why he probably didn't get as much well-deserved accolades that he should have, which is kind of holding him back out of the Hall of Fame. Is that what you believe?
Yeah, and the reason was the Broncos weren't winning. They weren't really winning until they went to the Super Bowl. With him, he had 7 Pro Bowls, 5 All-Pro, and I think Jack had like 8 or 9, but still, it was pretty good, and that's one of the reasons because Pittsburgh Steelers were always winning. In '77, that was his best year there, but we lost it. And I kind of compare this defense with that one right there in a little way, but hopefully we'll do good in that one.
So that's a perfect segue talking about this new age defense for the Broncos. Obviously, they had hit their peak in 2015 when they won the Super Bowl. Compare this, even just today's defense with the Denver Broncos, the last 3 or 4 years, compared to that Orange Crush in the 70s. What was the strong points for the team in the 70s? And then what similarities do you kind of see, and what's the differences, and who do you prefer? We'll start off with the team in the 70s. What was their strong? I mean, as a defense as a whole, I'm pretty sure they were great, but what was their strong point?
Well, I think when they started, they call it, I think it was 1976 or '75, they started forming that Orange Crush. That's when it all started. And in '77, it all came together, It all came together, and they went to a 3-4. And their main thing was stopping the run and rushing the passer. Okay, we had 3 good linemen. I think Reuben Carter, Barney Chavis, and that crazy Lyle Izzetto. Remember him? The boxer? Crazy Lyle.
Steroids,
Steroids.
Raiders,
Yeah,
back and forth,
crazy.
right?
At least he did what he wanted, He was a mean sucker, so he went to the Raiders.
Yeah.
But anyway, those 3 guys were just maniacs right there in the front. And then we had 4 linebackers, right in the middle. And the difference I see here is that back then in the '77 year, they had a lot of interceptions. And sacks, I don't know how many sacks those guys had because I don't think they started counting sacks, you know, in statistics. So what they
Yeah.
did was they had a lot of interceptions, and the way I see it is they were putting too much pressure on the quarterback, so you're just throwing out for grabs. I mean, we had linebackers that had 3 interceptions. You know, they had 4 linebackers, and they had like 8, 9 interceptions, and then you got to your defensive backs. They were getting interceptions, so they had like I think I wrote it down. It was like 20 something interceptions just for the starting guys
Mm.
between the linebackers
Okay.
and the defensive backs. So what I see in this defense now here, it could be good if we get this new guy that came in. What's his name?
Bradley Chubb,
Brady Shab
pass rusher, edge rusher.
and Von Miller, and we have all these guys right now. I think they can do it, you know. But is the thing is that our defensive backs don't get too many interceptions. Our linebackers, we need a good inside linebackers. We might get this with this new guy, Jules, if he comes
Oh
out.
yeah, I like him. I
I seen
like
him
me
in
some
college.
Josie Jewell.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
I seen him in
he gonna be
college,
the good one right there. Man,
and
that's good
I
man.
was
That's what I'm
surprised
talking
he was
about.
drafted that low. You know, I thought he's a good
Yeah,
linebacker. Hopefully, he gets in there and makes a difference there in the
he's gonna be that
linebackers.
crazy linebacker the
Yeah,
Broncos haven't had in a while. He's
yeah.
just gonna go in there and tear things up. Now, also, do you think that the turnovers were caused more because obviously, man, I'm not taking away nothing from the '70s defense, but obviously the rules change. Obviously, you can be a little bit more. You can punish the quarterback more back in the day, a little bit more physical. Now they call every little thing. Obviously, the players nowadays are more athletic. Do you think that played a little bit of part of it, or am I not giving the defense in the '70s enough credit?
Well, no, no, no. I mean, you know, if you pressure the quarterback, if you don't give him a chance to throw the ball, he's not gonna throw it right. You know, if you hit him before he throws the ball, all this about roughing the passer and everything. This is after they throw the ball or
Right.
or they slam him. You know, back then you can slam the heck out of the quarterback. It was like that. You know, but right now they protect him because why? Because that's the number one guy in the team to be the quarterback.
It's the
That's the
moneymaker.
money. That's the
Yeah.
money there. If you got teams that don't have a quarterback, what happened to the Broncos last 2 years?
Yeah.
They don't have a quarterback. They didn't have a quarterback. Now we'll get into that. You know, but
But he's taking over. He's running the show already. That's what I'm talking about, man. I like that the Wizard Chewy. Now, so the defense now with obviously them bringing in Bradley Chubb. You mentioned Josie Jewell. I think he's going to get worked into the linebacking core slowly. I definitely agree. With the Broncos have not had that middle linebacker in a while that you can say he's a Pro Bowl linebacker. It's when they were running the 3-4. I mean, you had Danny Trevathan in there, but he was more so guarding the tight ends or running backs out the backfield. And he was a player. I think that was a big loss from that Super Bowl team 2015. If you just had to choose best defense in Broncos history, if you pick one year, what is the best defense in Broncos history considering everything?
in 1 year, what do
Just
you mean?
what if you picked one year, what was the best defense in Broncos history? I'm not talking about from 77 to 79 or 2015 to 2000. I'm just talking about
It's
the single best Denver Broncos defense. And it could have been, a
it's
defense in the 90s. It could have
yeah,
been when John Elway was there. What was the best defense you ever saw?
defensive player for the whole Broncos.
No, no, no. The team, the best defensive team.
Oh, the best defensive
Yeah,
team.
what year was the best defensive team you ever seen?
It's 1977. That's
Oh, we
1977.
got some beef.
Yeah,
We got
it
some
was. It
beef.
was. If you look at it, they had an offense. Okay, their offense was just like, let's just get enough to win. Okay, I think I was looking at it, going back and looking at it because I can't remember everything.
Right, right,
I'm
right.
not gonna lie. Now they got the little computer things. Which I don't know much about.
I mean,
But
you got Facebook Live on
yeah,
your
I
cell
got
phone.
face.
What are you talking
So
about? You
and
don't know nothing about
I went
technology.
back to look at it, and we had Craig Morton. Remember him? He used to play with the Cowboys, and he's the one that was the Super Bowl 1977. That guy had like 14 TDs.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing he had that he did when he was protecting the ball. He had 8 interceptions in 14 games, which eight you must say is a lot, but the way they were doing it is just trying to hold off for the defense to hold them. I think the highest team that scored on them is, this is from my buddy Donovan. The Raiders, I think they scored 24 points that year. That was the highest points they got until they got to the Super Bowl. And they
Right.
lost to I think it was the Raiders that year, and they lost to the Cowboys. So they lost to the regular season, the Cowboys.
Oh,
and,
twice. They lost
and in the
twice.
Super Bowl.
Okay.
And I always say,
I didn't know that part.
Craig Morton was a Cowboy for life. He came with the Broncos. He got to the Super Bowl, and he kind of threw like a couple interceptions right away in the first half. I think if we would have got him early out of there and put him in the other sideline, and you had Norris Weiss in there, because he tried to bring him back. He almost did it, but it was too late.
So that year that Craig Morton had, you said about 14 touchdowns that season. Did Norris Reese contribute? Did he have any touchdowns that season and during the regular season that you can remember somewhat?
Norris Weiss, well, he played a little bit. He was a good backup, and he would come in and help him out.
Right.
He was like Kubiak. Remember Kubiak?
Right.
When he was a backup to Elway. Well, Norris Reese was like, everybody wanted him to get in there. But he was more of a backup because when he started, he wasn't that great. Only when he came in and help him out.
Right.
And he would do it all the time. And that's why in the Super Bowl, if they would have got Craig Morton as soon as he threw the interceptions, get him out of there, maybe Norris Reese would have did a better job, because he brought him back. I think they scored a touchdown with him. And then, well, everything else history with that. I mean, the defense can only do so much,
Right.
It's like last couple of years, the Denver Broncos right now, they got a good defense, but what happens? The offense gives the ball to the other teams every time. The defense can't play the whole game by themselves and win,
Okay. Well, hey, I respect your opinion, but I think the 2015 Denver Broncos defense was the best defense of all time in Broncos history. That's just my opinion. If you look at it, Peyton Manning had 9 touchdowns that season. He had 17 interceptions. So the offense was woeful. I know Brock Osweiler came in and he had 10 touchdowns that season in the 7 games that he played. But even at that, the offense wasn't that great. And if you look at what they did in the playoffs, especially in the playoffs, Ben Roethlisberger, they held him down a little bit, held him in check. Then after that, Tom Brady held him in check. And then the MVP, Cam Newton, in the Super Bowl. The defense single-handedly with Malik Jackson on the front line, Derek Wolfe. You had DeMarcus Ware. You had Von Miller, Danny Trevathan, Brandon Marshall. And then you had the no-fly zone, the original no-fly zone, Chris Harris, Bradley Roby, Aqib Talib, T.J. Ward, and Darius Stewart. But again, times are different. They were. I think this defense was physical, and I think it's definitely hard to say who was better. You had your time, I have my time. I didn't see that defense, so I don't want to be biased. But I respect your opinion. I believe what you're saying, and that's all I've ever heard is the Orange Crush and how they should have a little bit more guys in the Hall of Fame. So I definitely respect that. You got to the fact how the Broncos defense has been good lately. But the reason why it hasn't shown up in the games is because of the quarterbacks they've been putting out on the field. Obviously, with Trevor Siemian, who looked pretty decent that first year, nothing too crazy. They went 9-7. But then last year, everything fell apart with the new coach, new quarterbacks, and Brock Osweiler. Paxton Lynch got some play. Trevor Siemian took a couple steps back. They just looked like they were lost offensively. That's a big difference. Now, with that being said, you got Case Keenum. With Case Keenum coming in last year, obviously he had his breakout season with the Vikings, 22 touchdowns, 7 picks, got him to the NFC Championship game. It didn't work out against the Philadelphia Eagles, but he's slowly been progressing each year, and he finally got his shot last year. Now he's definitely the starter for the Denver Broncos. With the weapons that he has and just his play, what do you see differently with this team? And him, speak on Case Keenum.
Okay. As we can see the last 2 years, what we needed a quarterback. Okay, we need a quarterback. Now we got a guy that can do it. And when we'll go in our predictions why this guy's important. We know why he's important because he's a quarterback. He's going to be throwing the ball. From day one, we came out and say, okay, this is our quarterback. It's not like the last couple of years. We didn't know who was going to be the quarterback. The players didn't know who was going to be throwing the ball to them. So, now we got him. The only thing is missing right now for that defense. How about if we made a deal, Thomas for Thomas? Send Thomas, our wide receiver,
Demaryius
Thomas, send him to Seattle, for Earl Thomas as a safety.
I like
I
that.
mean, that'll be even right there with the money each guys are making. That'll be good. I mean, we got,
Man.
and I just kind of thought about that because I don't. That's why I'm throwing it out right now, so I won't forget it because I'm old, man. I'm old. So I just threw it out there, and I think that's what we're missing a good safety guy that can cover the middle, be in the middle like he does. You know, for all those tight ends coming in and everything, he'll be right there. I think this is what this defense is missing. Okay.
And I think they would, if that trade were to happen, they would have to send out Darian Stewart as well, because they do have obviously Justin Simmons. That's the guy that's going to be the next big star at safety. Just in the secondary, Justin Simmons, he's the most athletic, and then obviously Darian Stewart, he's experienced, he's still pretty good. And they picked up Sua Cravens. There's questions on him because he was hurt with the Redskins, but they have high hopes. And that's a guy that player for 1 year, bringing in another player for 1 year if you can't get some sort of extension going, and you're helping out that secondary that to me I still believe is pretty strong. Bradley Roby's going to start at the corner about Demarius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Is it more so because you think Demarius Thomas is on the decline, or do you contribute that to the quarterback play? Because if you look at Demarius Thomas before last year, he was getting 1,000 yards after 1,000 yards, never missing a game. Didn't miss a game last year. So, what do you think about Demarius
Well,
Thomas going forward?
I think for Thomas, like you said, this could be his last year. So right now you got value for him. You can trade him. And right now, what I'm seeing in training camp is there's a lot of wide receivers coming up. If you can get rid of him, and we're not getting rid of just to get rid of him. We're trying to make the defense to where it's going to help us a lot. The defense is going to win 4 or 5 games this year.
Okay.
They're going to win 4 or 5 games. So if you put Thomas in there, it's going to be a lot better. And that's all that defense needs right now. Besides those linebackers, because Jules going to take care of that linebacker stuff.
So if you trade Demarius, who do you put in at the receiver position with Emmanuel Sanders? Because you bring in Case Keenum, you don't want to get rid of all the players. You don't want to you don't want to leave the cupboard bare. Like, do you think Case Keenum is just a game manager, or do you think he's going to get better?
He's going to get better. And the reason I'm saying Thomas would be a good for Thomas would be because we got Sanders. Sanders can be the number 1 wide receiver on any team. Right here, he's number 2. Okay, and then you got Thomas there, and then you got that rookie.
Cortland Sutton.
That's him. He's about the same size, a little bit bigger. He's good,
way
younger,
more
he's
athletic.
hungry,
Mm-hmm.
and we seen it with Thomas. Sometimes he makes those great catches, and then the easiest ones he drops.
Yeah, that's the
especially
issue.
the ones in the middle.
He drops a lot of the easy
Yeah.
passes. Yeah.
And he could be. He's good. He's been good with the Broncos. I have nothing. I like the guy. He's
Do
a
you
good wide
think?
receiver.
Do you think he's the greatest receiver in Broncos history, Demarius Thomas?
Well,
And if not, who is?
it has to be.
There
Thomas.
you go.
It has
Yeah,
to be
there you
Thomas.
go.
Because
So-
we got McCaffrey. He was pretty good.
Rod Smith.
We got Moses, Haven Moses back in the 70s. He was
Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall. So really think about.
What about the
this.
three amigos? What's up with that? How you talk about did the Denver Broncos in the '80s? Did they break your heart so much that you don't even want to bring up the three amigos? You don't want to bring up Sammy Winder and John Elway and that orange Broncos team.
No, let me tell
Let's
you.
talk about the '80s Broncos,
Okay, let
man.
me
They
tell
went to
you.
the Super Bowl 3 years.
Okay, remember Sammy Winder?
Yeah, that was my favorite player
Yeah,
growing
he
up.
used to do that. What was it?
The Mississippi mud
Nuts.
dance. Yeah.
Mud slide.
Yeah.
I think you were maybe 5, 6 years. And I'm gonna tell you guys something. I never forced this guy to sit there and watch the Broncos game, the football games on Sundays. I would sit there on Sundays, and it's not like right now I have all statistics and everything showing up. I used to get a paper and put the running backs, wide receivers, and quarterbacks on both teams and write down the yards, how many yards they were making, Before all this stuff comes out, now they tell you right away and all this. I used to make it, just by watching. So I had to be there the whole game, and I loved it. And at 4, 5, 3 years old, he was there sitting by me, which I guess he was okay because his mom didn't have to take care of him because he was right there, And but I never forced
Hi,
him to
Mom.
sit there. You know?
What's up, Angel?
So, and he was talking about Angel. Angel was different. Angel liked everything that we didn't like. Okay,
Oh, man.
so he went from just to say this about Angel. How you doing, Angel? I hope you had a good time in L.A. And
Yeah.
let us know what happened. Okay, and I know Angel was okay. We like the Broncos. So who do you like? Giants. We like the Phoenix Suns. Who do you like?
Chicago Bulls.
Chicago Bulls. And it just goes on and on and on. He was trying to be different, which
But,
was good. It was good.
so he's talking about Angel, my younger brother.
Angel.
He's talking about the New York Giants. So it's a very funny story as to why he's a New York Giants fan. It's because growing up, you know, he didn't get into football until he was like 8, 9, 10, when he would kind of pay attention. And so, yeah, he would have a Bronco. He had a Shannon Sharp jersey. But the reason why he's a New York Giants fan, and it's still funny to this day, is I don't know if you guys remember Tecmo's Super Bowl for Nintendo back in 1990, 1991 when it came out. Obviously, you could only pick one team throughout a season, so we would go in there, we would pick teams. I would never let him pick the Broncos because that was my team. So he would have to pick a team that he felt was pretty fun to play with. And it just so happened that the New York Giants had a real good player on that team, Lawrence Taylor, and he would just cause ruckus everywhere. So he would always pick the Giants. He would kick everybody's butt with Lawrence Taylor because you couldn't block Lawrence Taylor. And that started the New York Giants' love for Angel. And, you know, he's happy to this day. He's got his Super Bowls with Eli, and he's happy to this day that he's a Giants fan. But that's that backstory to the reason why he's a Giants fan. Obviously, my mom's a Bronco fan.
Everybody's a Bronco
but
fan.
yeah, you know, most of our family Bronco fans. We have a couple of
Say Benji,
weird
Alex,
dudes that go for the
but it's
Cowboys
okay. We
and
love you
Raiders and yeah, what's up with
Yeah,
that?
Raiders.
It's weird.
I was a real Raider hater back in the 70s because that's all we hated. The Raiders, Raiders, Raiders. It was a big old giant coming in and beating up on us, you know, every year.
Well, and I think the biggest reason to that is because the Raiders haven't been that good. So when the Broncos are good, the Raiders haven't been good. And then when the Raiders were good there in the early 2000s, the Broncos weren't that good. So it'd be nice to see both of those teams kind of fight for the
I
playoffs.
think you're going to see it this year.
Okay, so before we get to that, I have one more topic, and then we're going to get to your predictions not just rookies for the Denver Broncos, but maybe a guy that came in last year or a guy that still hasn't broken through. Who is your breakout player or the player that people need to watch and say, man, that guy is actually he's ready. He took over. Who's the one guy? Go out on a limb and give me the one player you think is going to break out, whether it's offense or defense.
It's going to be the tight end from Michigan,
Jake Butt.
Jake Butt.
Nice.
He was good in college, and I'm hoping he does good. Not only because he was the Broncos, but because he busted his knee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those guys, they're good in college. They don't get paid. And then they get ready to come over here to the NFL, and then they hurt. So what happens? They draft him late, you know, which was a good deal for the Broncos. I'm thinking he's going to have a good year if he stays healthy.
Let's hope so.
Because he's going to be the touchdown guy right there.
In the red zone.
You guys in the fantasy, remember guys in fantasy, I'm the champion from last year.
Oh, man.
But don't touch that guy because it's going to be my tight end, okay?
He won fantasy football last year. It was a 14-team league. And don't ask him who he beat in the championship. Yeah, that sucks, man. And people think that, man,
You gotta be good.
People in our league are like, why is it always this guy or my brother? Why are they always in the championship? But what they fail to understand is I want to beat him more than anybody. I want to beat my brother more than anybody. So I want to beat my mom more than anybody. We're all in a league. And my mom likes talking mad smack when she's winning and she's beating us. So, I mean, it's a rivalry.
Loses, and then she blame us. Buenas tardes, Gerardo. Saludos para toda la familia.
But, so fantasy football, just real quickly, tell them how long we've been doing fantasy football.
Oh, my God. I think I was one of the guys that started that stuff. Mm-hmm. We started doing it by the newspaper, by looking at it.
Getting stats from the
stats
paper
from the
every
paper.
Monday and Tuesday.
And we just started because we wanted to have a team. We
Mm-hmm.
wanted. I came up with. Well, I was one of the guys that started it.
1997 is when we started fantasy
And I don't
football.
think it was fantasy football back then. I don't know what it was, but it was just.
Well, it was
I
fantasy
wanted a.
football, but
I
it
wanted a
was.
team. I wanted some running backs, and so we made.
And we wanted to put
made a
some
league.
money on it.
Yeah,
And we wanted to
yeah.
win some money.
And we
Yeah,
did it. We started it, and then all of a sudden,
it broke through.
yeah.
It broke through like, man, like 5, 6 years later, everybody's doing it now, which is great. You got a reason to watch. Before you would, if the Browns and the Lions were playing, you'd be like, why am I going to watch the
Yeah,
Browns and Lions? But now you're like, you know what? I got a player on the Lions. I got a player on the Browns. I want to watch it. So the NFL's smart. They added all this fantasy football stuff to be able to sign up and whatnot, which is great. But we've been doing it since '97 and been nonstop since then. So it's 21 years now. So
And I got a player from Kansas City, and I hate Kansas City, but I got my running back there.
there's another thing
But
too. The
I
teams
go for my running back, not the team, but my running back.
I don't draft. My rule is I don't draft Raiders no matter what. I don't care who it is. I just don't draft Raiders. I never have. I never will. But that's just me.
That's why I win and you lose.
Okay. All right. We'll see this year. We're gonna get you this year, bro. All right. So
Okay,
Denver Broncos. Before we get to just the landscape of the NFL? What do you believe the Broncos are gonna do this year? Realistically, where do you see the team? How many wins do you see them? Are they a playoff team? Are they maybe last week of the season got to win a game to get into? What do you see the Denver Broncos this year?
a big improvement.
From 5-11, okay.
It's going to be all the way around.
So 11-5.
11-5.
11-5.
If Case
Keenum.
Remember, guys, I'm Mexican,
He's Mexican.
100%. And
Oh man.
if he stays healthy,
Okay. Yeah.
and we get that running back, what's that guy's running back?
Royce Freeman.
Oh yeah.
Devontae
Oh,
Booker.
yeah.
Man, he really hasn't
like
shown
Royce.
much. Royce Freeman.
You know,
Yeah.
And all this about the NFL and the running back. Before it was one running back, another guy coming in, giving a break once in a while. The NFL started going with, we don't need those big old running backs. We don't need one guy. We need 4 or 5 guys. But if you see it, if you get a good running back, it's going back to running backs. They just did that so they won't have to pay the running backs. So anyway, that's what it is. I think if quarterback stays healthy,
So that's your prediction, 11-5.
11
But I don't want to know how far they go because we're gonna get into who you think's gonna be, playoff teams, or do you just have your final four, or do you have the playoff teams?
I have who's going to win just the record. Who's going to win
The division. Okay.
And,
So
and then I'm going to tell you who's going to win the Super Bowl.
okay. So
explain
let's
that.
let's start off AFC East. I don't even got to ask this, but who wins the division in the AFC East?
I don't really like the Patriots. I got to put on the Patriots.
We hate the Patriots.
They can go and get guys from high school and that coach them to where they're going to win. And right now, the AFC,
Nice.
the AFC is real low, even in the East. They're not that great. We got a lot of teams. If the Patriots were, let's say, in the NFC, where the Saints and Falcons are on the
NFC South, right?
on the South, I don't think the Patriots will even make the playoffs.
Wow.
Because you got Atlanta, you got the
Wow.
Saints, and that's the truth. Right now, the Patriots are doing it, but
Maybe. Hey.
AFC has what? You got this year's gonna be the Broncos.
Yeah.
But you got the Steelers and Texans. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Texans are coming up. We don't know what to really expect from Texans, but before the quarterback got hurt, they were going to be up there. And they got surprised.
So give me your Patriots record. Since you had them win the division, what's their record?
They're going to win 13. At least 3.
So they're going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC?
Yeah,
Okay.
because they're going to win. They got 6.
They got 6 wins?
Right there.
So they just got to go 7-3 the rest
They
of the
don't
way?
even have to
Okay.
play those games. They got 6 wins.
All right. NFC North, the Steelers were the winners last year. What do you see in the NFC North?
If Big Ben stays healthy, they'll be up there. I got a record of 12-4.
Do you think Le'Veon Bell, because he's not going to play in the preseason, do you think it's going to affect them at all?
Oh yeah. That's why I got them 12-4. Or else I would have them number one.
Oh, okay. So they're going to
Because
come out the gates kind of slow
kind of
because of it.
slow,
Okay, I like that.
and they might win the first games, but it's going to be low scoring. And usually during the year, every year, Ben takes a couple days off, a couple games off,
Yeah,
gets hurt.
yeah.
So they might lose from those two guys. You can't lose those two guys. But because they got a decent defense and they got a good. Now they got two good wide receivers.
Yeah.
So, and I give them a 12-4.
12-4. So let's go to the South. You mentioned the
South,
Texans. Do you like the
Texans.
Texans in the South? Give me a record there.
I got them at 12-4.
And what's the most impressive part about the Texans? What are you excited to see about the Houston Texans?
Well, their
Quarterback?
number one player on defense coming back, and their number one player
J.J.
on offense
Watt.
coming back. So I mean,
Yeah.
you got two guys one from the defense and one from the offense.
That you can argue they're both top 5 players in the league,
Oh,
right?
heck yeah. Watts,
J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson. So a lot of things looking up. And you had them at what, 11-5?
I got them at 12-4.
12-4. Okay, so this is top heavy AFC. I like it. We have the Patriots at 13-3. We got the Steelers at 12-4. The Texans at 12-4. AFC West. Who wins the AFC West? I think I know the answer, but who wins the AFC West? Chewy the Wizard.
My Broncos.
His Broncos.
At 11-5.
Looking in his crystal ball, 11-5. Never Broncos
If
win
the
the
quarterback
West.
stays healthy.
Okay.
If the quarterback stays healthy. If
Okay.
not, they're going to go back to 6-7 wins.
Ooh, so okay, so you actually believe in Case Keenum that he's going to make the difference. Obviously, they have players on defense. They got some talent on the offense. The offensive line is a work in progress, but they're going to look a little bit better. So yeah, you believe in Case Keenum, and it's not going to be a fluke season.
Because if he gets hurt, we got Mr. John Elway, which I like a lot, but
You love John
I
Elway.
love him. The decisions he makes in quarterback, you got that.
This
Paxton.
one's for John.
Yeah.
That was actually when they won the Super Bowl. Pat Bowlen should have said, "This one's for Chuy."
Yeah.
All the suffering he went through, man. Well, I remember a couple of those Super Bowls, but I don't remember
The first time they won, we were in Commerce City.
Yep.
Okay, the Broncos won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And
97,
we used to be
98.
right there in Commerce City. I thought this guy was going to go crazy. He was running around the house, inside the house, running. I thought he was going to bust his head open or something. We were all jumping up.
Yeah.
And he was crying. I was crying.
Tears, man. That's how important that first win was.
Yeah. But
Man.
back to where I was saying about Mr. John Alloway.
Yeah.
You got to get this guy either make up your mind if you're going to keep him, Paxton,
Lynch.
or get rid of him. Mm-hmm. Because if you keep him as number 2 right now, what I'm seeing right now, what I've seen the last 2 years, we lose our starting quarterback, and that's it. This guy's going to go back to crying on the sidelines because he bumped his knee. This guy's a big guy, but he has to toughen up and do it. He has the arm and everything.
He's got to put in the work.
Maybe there's something wrong up there.
He's
Maybe
not
he doesn't listen to
mature.
study.
Hey,
Well,
that's true.
He's getting paid. That's his job. He's not in college no more. He can't go mess around. If he really wants to get in there, we got to find out if there's something wrong with him. I'm not going to say that I'm probably smarter than him, but if I had that buddy, man, I'll be up there number 1.
Hey, there you go. That's that heart. A lot of players don't have that heart anymore.
He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. I don't see nothing on him. Just a big old body and the arm. That's it. But there's no brains up there. Okay? And
no work ethic.
Kelly,
Chad Kelly, Machine Gun Kelly.
he needs to tear it up in the preseason.
You want him to be the number 2, right?
I want him if he can show me something in the preseason, number 2. But then we're going to go back to what? What happened to the other 2 quarterbacks that we had last year, a couple of years back?
Simeon, Brock Osweiler,
and then the other kid
Paxton
from Colorado.
Lynch.
Minnesota.
Kyle Sloter.
Yeah, he
Kyle
was beating
Sloter.
those guys up.
Yeah, he
was I don't know why, but they didn't want him because Elway wanted his number 1 pick to start. And look what happened.
Elway, Chuy's upset with you because you're not making good decisions at the
he
quarterback position, bro.
Gets rid of the other quarterback,
Nice.
and leaves this guy. So we got to make up your mind. I mean, Elway, there's been a lot of teams that make mistakes with their number 1 pick. Yours is a big mistake, okay? If you think he's good, throw him into there. Why did we get Case for?
And I'm pretty sure John O is listening right
I hope
now.
he
He's gonna
is.
watch this.
I hope he is.
Me too, shoot. But for those of you guys that just tuned in or watching this later, especially on Chuy's Facebook Live, what's up to everybody? This is the Fast Break Sports Hour coming to
Hey,
you
Stu, how you
live.
doing?
YouTube Live. Again, this is the Denver Broncos edition with Chuy the Wizard, the Denver Bronco #1 fan. He's the reason why I'm a Bronco fan. We have pretty good arguments. We get into it because we have our different opinions as it comes to the team. Yeah, we love the Broncos, but sometimes we don't see eye to eye with everything. But at the end of the day, we just we just want to see the wins. It doesn't matter how it happens. Shout out to all the Bronco fans. We're going to continue the predictions. A shout out to Big Zoe. Shout out to Louie. All my cousins that love the Broncos. Everybody out there that loves the
Arriba la
Broncos.
familia.
Yeah, the whole family of Bronco fans. Bronco fans stand up, and the rest of the family too that likes those teams that got
My Bill Rights family.
ugly colors like dark blue and silver or silver and black. Like, come on, man. But let's get back to your predictions. You have the AFC. You have those 4 division winners. Do you have 2 wild cards?
Oh yeah.
Who are your 2 wild cards in the AFC?
Chargers. L.A. Chargers.
Okay, I like that. LA Chargers and
Was that Jacksonville Jaguars?
okay, so you don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars were a fluke last year? You believe their defense is pretty strong and they're going to come back and get you back in the playoffs. So then that means who are your buys? So you have the Patriots and who's the buy? Steelers or Houston?
I'll say Steelers.
Okay, so you got Houston going against Jacksonville, Denver going against Los Angeles. What do you see happening there? Do you see the Texans taking care of the Jaguars?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so you like the Texans to get to the divisional round, and then the Broncos, the Chargers will be going to Denver. Do you like the Broncos taking care of the Chargers in that in that wild card game?
On this one, no, I think the Chargers are going to take that one.
Oh, we agree with that. That better not happen, but that's the same thing I said.
Yeah, because this is the first year for our quarterback Case. So I mean, next year.
That's a
I'll put him
shocker.
in the Super Bowl.
That's a shocker. We still hope you go to the Super Bowl. It'd be great, but we're gonna keep it
go to the
real.
Super Bowl next year. If he makes it to the playoff this year, for sure.
Would you be shocked if he makes it to the Super Bowl this year?
No, because no. I would love for them to make the Super Bowl.
Right.
Because all these teams. I mean, there's a little bit difference there, and there was a big difference when we didn't have a quarterback. Now we got a quarterback.
Nice.
We got 2 of the best wide receivers. Mm-hmm. Okay, the defense, one of the top defense, which Texans have a good defense.
Jacksonville, Chargers,
everybody,
But I would have to argue Pittsburgh and New England do not have good defenses.
What would happen if Denver would have maybe say come up and beat the Chargers, and then meet up with one of those other guys that don't have a good defense?
So now you have the Chargers. They're going to be going to New England, and the Texans are going to go to Pittsburgh. Who do you have? Chargers at New England.
I got the Chargers.
The Chargers going to Gillette Stadium, beating the Patriots, getting to the AFC Championship game,
kicking
their butt. Phillip Rivers doing big things. And now the Steelers will be hosting the Texans. Who do you have in that game?
I'm sorry, Steelers.
Oh,
Texans.
that's the man. I like the AFC Championship. See, great minds think alike. That's the same AFC Championship game I had. I had the Texans and the Chargers. My brother Angel also had the Texans in the AFC Championship game, but just not the Chargers. AFC Championship, hold on to that. We got Chargers, Texans, Phillip Rivers against Deshaun Watson. Let's go to the NFC. NFC East. Who wins the NFC East?
The Eagles.
The Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz. Yes? Or no Carson Wentz?
Oh, yeah. If
he's MVP candidate in your eyes?
Oh, yeah. He's going to be one of the best. He is one of the best quarterbacks.
Yeah? Mm-hmm.
He comes back from that knee injury. I mean, he ain't going to be running around like crazy no more, but he's going to be throwing the ball, and they got a good team there. So I give them a 13-3.
Awesome. So let's go to the NFC South. Who do you have winning in that division?
I'm going to go with the Saints.
New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees. I like it.
This is going to be maybe last year. I don't know.
Alvin Kamara, Drew
They got a
Brees,
good
Michael
offense.
Thomas.
Their defense is coming up.
Defense with they got a couple of the young. They hit on their rookies last year.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was a big thing. I mean, they had that mishap against the Vikings with Case Keenum, but things happen. But
And
what record do you have this?
I
Oh, go
got
ahead.
them at 11-5.
11-5.
We're talking about the NFC. We're not talking about the AFC. So these guys, they're gonna be losing some games between them and all that. So,
Right.
But 11-5 for the Saints.
Alrighty. So let's go to the North, the cold North. Who wins that division?
Packers.
Green Bay Packers.
Bay
Aaron
Packers.
Rodgers again. As long as he's healthy, I see the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the guy who's gonna carry him. He's been carrying him all this time, and it's not a very good Packer team, but he finds a way to win. If he stays healthy, he finds a way to win, and that's just it. You got a player there that likes to play, one of the best quarterbacks there is, and
Do you kind of this? I'm just throwing this out there, but do you kind of view Aaron Rodgers like Phillip Rivers, where they don't always give them the best talent, but they still figure out ways to win games? Now, obviously, the Chargers have more talent now at the running back position, a couple receivers, but obviously the Packers have had issues with running back depth, tight ends or whatnot. Do you kind of view them as like guys that have to do a little bit more just to help their teams win?
oh yeah, it's like me growing up. I'm always been the smallest guy. And I go against a big guy that has more talent than me. I'm gonna go crazy on him and try to win against him. And there's guys they're big and everything. They got all the talent and everything, and they lose. That's what we got teams. You see them on paper. They got running backs. They got quarterback. They got everything, but they don't got the heart and the huevos. Like I said, sorry.
It's all right. Hey, man.
So
The cojones, the grapefruits,
yeah,
all that good stuff.
Aaron
They don't have the
Rodgers
balls.
is one of those guys that
You gotta have some balls. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And the huevos. So you have the Packers win in the North.
And I
Okay.
got them at
What's their record?
11-5.
11-5. Okay. So Aaron Rodgers doing it again. Is he the best quarterback in the NFL?
Yes.
Alrighty.
Yes, he's the
Agreed. Best quarterback. Just he
Right
does
now.
everything, right? He can do everything. NFC West.
NFC West. I got the Rams.
Jared Goff,
I got the Rams.
Todd Gurley, Brandon Cooks, Aqib Talib, Aaron Donald still hasn't signed. There's an issue there, but they got Ndamukong Suh, and they also picked up. Oh man, I can't remember his name.
On the line or where?
No, the secondary.
Oh well, they got our.
Well, no, I know
quarterback,
they got Aqib Talib.
and then Peters.
Marcus Peters. Thank you. Thank you.
But you know what's wrong with that team?
What's wrong with that team?
Like I was just talking a few minutes ago. That's going to be the big guys there, okay? And you got so many guys that are good. Everybody's going to want to take care of themselves. They might. That's why they're not going to win the Super Bowl this year.
So be selfish.
And you got a coach that respected
Young guy.
young, and these guys are making more money than the coach. And what's going to happen? They got too much talent there, too much. And
Okay, I like that
that's
point
what's
of
going to
view.
hold them back from winning the Super Bowl.
Alrighty. So we know the Rams are not going to get to the Super Bowl. So who are the two wild card teams in the NFC?
I got the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay, the Atlanta Falcons, Dirty Birds, get into the playoffs. And who's the second wild card team?
The New York.
The New York Football Giants. So sorry, Cowboy fans, you do not make the playoffs.
Oh, how the Cowboys gonna make the playoffs? Sorry, guys. I'm sorry, Cowboy fans, but no. There's unless Jerry gets in there and plays, maybe they'll do something. But
So
you get rid of your best wide receiver,
Jerry, Jarrah Jones.
Jera.
Okay, so what was the Rams record? You didn't give me that.
11 and let me see. The Rams was 12-4.
Okay, so the Eagles and the Rams have the byes,
Yeah.
correct? So who's your 3 seed, the Saints or the Packers?
I'm gonna say the Saints.
The Saints. Okay, so then you have the Saints going against the Giants,
Okay,
right?
Saints and Giants.
Okay, and then you got Packers and Falcons. Who wins? Giants in New Orleans.
New Orleans.
So the Saints.
Sorry, Angel.
The Saints, they win, so the Saints will end up going to Los Angeles. And now the Falcons at Lambeau Field. Who wins that? Matt Ryan versus Aaron Rodgers. Matt Ryan with all those weapons on offense.
That's where it goes. I mean, the Packers, they make it to the playoffs, they win the division, but they're on their last leg.
Okay.
They're on their last leg, and by the time they make it to the playoffs and everything, they lose. They lose the first game.
All right. So you got the Falcons going into Lambeau, winning that game. Tough place to play. It's going to be frigid Lambeau
And,
Field.
and the way I see it is it's going to be up there. So guess what? It's a bit freezing, like you said.
Yeah, freezing.
Atlanta, they keep their running backs.
Running game. Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman.
They got a better defense, a better running backs. So if they get up there and it's freezing, Atlanta's going to take it.
So now the Falcons will go to Philly in your predictions. Who wins that game? Atlanta at Philadelphia.
I have to go with the Eagles.
The Eagles. Carson Wentz gets his first official playoff win as a starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Second game, you have the New Orleans Saints going to the Los Angeles Rams. Who wins that one? That should be a hell of a...
It's going to be in the 40s. They're just going to leave the defense in the locker room.
Leave them both in the locker room, yeah.
And I think at the end, the older quarterback wins.
Drew Brees, the experience prevails like it usually does. Experience prevails again today on the road. The Rams, for the second year in a row, lose at home in the playoffs. So that means that the New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees get one more chance. They're going to be going to Philadelphia. Who wins and why? Who's going to the Super Bowl? Saints at Philly.
This year is going to be one of the first times. Who was the last team that repeated in the Super Bowl?
Man, the last team to repeat in the Super Bowl has to be the Patriots.
It wasn't the Broncos, huh?
No. Nope. It was the Patriots when they won against the Eagles and then the Panthers in 2003, 2004.
Okay, so it's going to be the Eagles this time.
So you got
well, I should have never said that.
well, it's all right.
Okay.
They're in the Super Bowl.
They're in the Super Bowl.
They're in the Super Bowl. They're going to beat the Saints.
Mouth,
it's all right. I picked the same champion. Who are they going to beat in the Super Bowl? Is it the Texans or the Chargers?
They're going to beat the Texans.
They're going to beat... Man, that's going to be a great game to watch. Carson Wentz against Deshaun Watson. Man, you're going to have two elite quarterbacks going at it. Again, hopefully all these guys stay healthy on the field.
It's going to be a good game.
And you got the Eagles repeating. This time, Carson Wentz gets his taste at the Super Bowl championship, gets his ring, rightfully so, well-deserved.
Well, the Eagles, I mean, these guys are smart, okay? They got the backup, okay? Last year, their number one quarterback gets hurt. The backup comes in. They lost a little bit, but they didn't lose much.
Right.
Okay? And other teams, they would have said, okay, let me trade this guy. Everybody wanted this guy because he won the Super Bowl, MVP in the Super Bowl. And they said, no, we need him. So they kept him. So even if their number one quarterback gets hurt, guess what? They're still in it because they still got the whole same team, and they got that quarterback there. So that's why I'm saying Eagles are going to repeat from day one because they got two quarterbacks that can start any other place.
And there you have it. You got the Philadelphia Eagles repeating. Chuy the Wizard, his predictions, he has the Eagles defeating the Houston Texans in this year's Super Bowl. Should be a hell of a year. Just a couple of things I want to throw out there. Darius Geis, he's going to be out for the season, tore his ACL. The running back from Washington, big things. He was going to be the starter there. He got drafted in the second round, tore his ACL. That's one of the things I don't like about preseason is I believe there's too many games. I think they need to be able to find a way to get rid of one of those games. And even if you got to add a game during the season and make it like on neutral field to where every team has one game on neutral field so that you still get 8 games at home, 8 games on the road, and then maybe every team plays a game in London. So you have 16 games in London, 17 game season, just so you can get rid of, it's games, players are going to get hurt, but it's just a shame for a player of that caliber to get hurt with high expectations in the first preseason game.
The only way they would get rid of preseason, I think back in the 70s, I think it was like, what, 6 games?
Yeah, they had 6 games. I was looking
Games,
at that.
okay?
6 preseason
So
games
what
and
did they do?
14.
What did they do?
They took
They
one.
14,
Yeah.
so they went 16 and took 2 away, okay? They added, so in order to shorten up the preseason now, they're gonna try to do the same thing 'cause it's all money.
Yeah.
The owners ain't gonna say you're gonna throw 2 games away. It's a lot of money there.
Right,
So
right.
what they want to do, if they want to do it, if everybody wants to do it, they're gonna add 2 more games to the regular season.
That means the players are going to have to get paid more. So that's the
Well,
issue there.
Yeah, and the thing is, you see all these contracts about the say the basketball players
Guaranteed contracts.
guaranteed. Yeah, but you got, well, how many players you got on the team?
12 to 14.
12. Okay. So how in the heck is the NFL is going to pay? Okay, you got you got 11 on offense and 11 on defense. You got 22 players.
56, 57 total
So
when you
that's why
talk
a lot
about
of,
guys that aren't active. and
that's why there's basketball getting paid a lot of money, and football players ain't. So, beep beep. That was a beep.
Yeah, got a little battery thing. But this was the Denver Broncos special. Thank you for joining us on the Fast Break Sports Hour. Do you want to add anything else? Broncos, sports, whatever. Saquon Barkley had an awesome first run yesterday, too. That was pretty cool. The Fast Break Sports Hour will continue next show. Don't have a date on there, but it'll be real soon. We're going to talk about all the preseason that's been happening and just everything that's going on in sports. Would you like to add anything, Mr. Chuy, before we head out of this wonderful Denver Broncos room?
With the draft, that's the only time I was disappointed is when crazy New York Giants, took that running back.
Saquon Barkley.
I wanted him for the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
But we got a big old defensive lineman.
Bradley Chubb, the rich get richer on defense.
Yeah, we got 2 sizes. All we need is a middle.
So you really like Saquon Barkley is what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. He's going to be the Rookie of the Year. Yeah.
There you heard it here.
Yeah.
Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year is Saquon Barkley. Who's your MVP real quick?
MVP, let's go with
Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson, Phillip Rivers.
Carson Wentz, because
Carson Wentz won the Super Bowl.
Have a terrific year.
Man, there you go.
Yeah,
and he was on pace to do it last year as well.
Yeah, yeah.
All righty. So there you have it. I mean, this is Chuy the Wizard coming in, Denver Bronco Chuy, my pops coming in, doing the show with me. I appreciate him. Love him to death. Thank you for showing up on the show and helping me out with a little bit of Bronco talk, because, I don't know too much about Broncos and this, that, and the other.
Right.
But again, thank all you guys for watching, and stay tuned. See when we do the next show, Fast Break Sports Hour. I'm pretty sure his phone is going off because he's got all the fans are like, they're trying to get him. They're like, we want you on this show.
Kiki, if you're watching, we're not ready yet, buddy.
So I'm pretty sure he'll be on the show sometime in the future, but I'm not going to, he's going to want to be on here all the time now, but.
I better get a job. I want to go to work. All right, come on, call me.
All righty, so you can, or answer that, go ahead, see what he says, but this is the Fast Break Sports Hour. Thank you for joining me, and we're out. Thank you.
What's up, Kiki? Pues aquí en el show.